How are y'all doing tonight? Daniel's great. Excellent. You're wonderful. So, welcome to our live session tonight. I'm Erica Rogers. For those of you who couldn't see that, I'm sure you could see that on here. But anyway, Erin was going to be joining us tonight, but she had something come up. So, you guys are just stuck with me tonight. So, like it or not, that's how it is. So, we have our agenda up. Can everyone see the agenda okay on the slides? Awesome. Great. Love seeing that feedback. Thank you all. Okay, so we are going to talk about how to create an Idaho Live within your course, how you can put that on your calendar and create that resource, the basic layout of class. Those of you who are veterans who have had live sessions, or those of you who are new and have conducted live sessions as well, or those of you who are like me and may have been hesitant to have live sessions. I think I taught for IDLA for a couple years before I ventured into a live session because it scared me. So if you're in that boat, then you're in good company. So, and then we'll have some final notes about finishing up our course, right, Sherry? Yeah, it's a little bit scary to do a live session. Um, so we'll talk about final notes for the course. Uh, Remember to hit your microphone and remember to hit record, because I honestly have done an entire session when no one has come, and there's no feedback, so no one can tell you that they can't hear you, but done a lesson for my students and recorded the whole thing with no audio, and then went to post it and there was no sound. So I had to do the whole session all over again. So don't forget to hit your microphone, and we'll go through all those tools here in a minute. So. All right, so promoting an event. Oh, and see how sometimes when you move your slides in, event used to be clear, and now the T's covered up. So something else to look for when you guys are checking your slides for something. Within your Schoology course, you guys can go right into the calendar and you can click on the day that you want to add the event, and it automatically defaults to an event, so you can just fill in the information as far as the time of day, the title of your live session, and then maybe a brief description, and that is usually where you're going to go ahead and paste your link for your guest link for your room. Um, and then you can also, fill in the information and then put like click here to join your Idaho live session or whatever, and then hyperlink the click here by using the that way your participants should just be able to click on the click here and join. I do always leave the URL as well. So if for some reason it's not working for them to click there, they can copy and paste that link into their web browser. And then when you click create, your event is there and on your calendar. Is anyone interested in seeing that this process done live? I can share my screen with you and go through the process of creating a session. If anyone is interested in seeing that, give me a yes, or I'd love to see it, or something. Otherwise, I'll just assume that the screenshots are good enough and you're all clear. Do anything with a disabled item? I don't think so. I think that you can leave that open if you want students to RSVP, but I don't think there needs to be anything there. And I don't even know if that's an option for our student events. I've never tried it. Okay, perfect. I will share my screen then, and we will do a quick screen share. All right, so this is always kind of an adventure too. So I'm going to share my screen. And are you guys all now seeing my sandbox course? If I'm sharing my screen? And I got to click back and say yes if you're seeing it. No, it's black. Nope. Still nothing. Desktop is sharing. Not yet. There's something now. Get like the multiple screens. Ah, perfect. Okay. Can anyone give me an audio if you can see my sandbox course? Maybe a yes. Because if I go back and
I can see it, Erica.
yay, thank you. All right, so here is my sandbox course. And if I'm going to create an event, the first thing I want to do is make sure I have my guest link. So I'm going to click into my e-tutoring down at the bottom here, and I'm going to grab my link for my guests. Of course, everything's going to run more slowly because, you know, I have an audience. Usually it doesn't take this long. I'm so sorry. Let's try this way. Maybe I'll go into our intermediate Schoology course. Maybe that's going to be happier for me. Well, that's working better. Okay, so click into e-tutoring, and from your edit profile, that is where you can find your link. So you can copy that. Whoa, undo. That was something crazy. All right, so I'm going to grab that link by copying it. And if I click into the calendar and I want to create an event for maybe on Monday, I'm going to go ahead and click on the calendar in that day. And it'll bring up the date, and I can click here to join our live session. And then you can highlight, click here, and you can link, paste your link there for your room. And then, like I said, I usually say the link isn't working. Here's the URL to copy paste, something along that line. I'm going to try to go back and share some files so we can get our PowerPoint back up again. All right, so it's pretty easy to click on that and create your events. So I like that it's pretty slick and easy, and it's kind of all takes place within Schoology. I like that. Something that you can also do you recommend adding our e-tutor hours to the calendar? I do. Yeah, I do recommend that. I think that's a great place for your students to go and see just a real quick visual of when you're in the e-tutoring room. I think that's a great idea to add them to your calendar. Post an update. Absolutely. It's a great idea every couple of weeks or so to remind your students when you're in the e-tutoring room, just so they know when they can find you there. Like I said, a lot of times I don't have students who utilize e-tutoring as much as they do just emailing me or calling me, even texting me sometimes. But I think it's great to keep those dates on the calendar for your students and remind them every once in a while of when you are in that e-tutoring room. So one thing that you can do also is bookmark your room, your moderator room. So when you have a live session, instead of going back in and grabbing that link, because remember your link will be different than the guest link that you leave in the calendar. You're going to want to actually join in the You can click those and then go down to bookmarks, which is step 2 on this slide, and then go on step 3, bookmark this page. And when I bookmarked mine, it came up as Erica Rogers Tutoring Room, which is great. It's a clear name for me, but you guys can change that if you wanted to something else. And then done. And that way, when you are ready to have a session, you just have that bookmarked right on your toolbar instead of having to go back in and grabbing your moderator link. So that's kind of a cool tip and trick to have. And that was something that Erin said, why don't we show them how to bookmark our room? And I was like, I've actually never done that. That would have been really handy. So I learned that from Erin this week. Are there any questions about bookmarking your room? Bookmarking your moderator room so you can have easy access? Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about a couple of the controls within Blackboard Collaborate. For those of you who are new to the tool, or for those of you who are like, I haven't done my own session yet because it kind of makes me a little bit anxious, just wanted to bring your attention to the middle of your screen, the bottom center section. You're going to see these controls that you're seeing now on our slideshow. So your little person there with check marked in, that means that's me, my status, and my settings. Your microphone automatically defaults to off. So the slash line through your microphone means that it is off. When it is on, it'll turn green. And usually you'll get like the line, the white bar going up and down in the microphone to show that your audio is working. Next to that, you'll see the camera where you can share video. I'm going to share my video just for a second so you guys can see what that looks like. Hello, everybody. Sometimes it's kind of nice for your students to be able to see you, and it gives them something else to look at while you are doing your presentations, so they can get a picture of you. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, I think, to kind of put yourself out there and be on video, but it's also nice sometimes, I think, for our students to have that. One thing to be aware of is it sometimes can slow down your connection, and there can be some lag with either your audio or how the slides are showing. I can absolutely email you guys the slideshow. You bet. I can post those in the updates or someplace like that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll share those out with you. Thanks, Danielle. All right, a couple other tools to think about. Oh, you bet. I'm happy to do that. The chat. And then the next to that with the 2 purple people, tells you how many people are in the room. Um, and then you have the box with the arrow, which is how you share your content, whether it's going to be uploading your slide deck there, or if you want to share your screen at any point in time. That is where you would go for share content. You can also do your breakout groups there. They have options of polling. I'm going to be honest with you, I've not really ever used that. Or settings, you can see that you'll get a visual and an audio notification if someone joins the room, or if someone posts a chat message, you can get a visual notification and an audio notification. I go ahead and uncheck the audio notification. If not, you get like this donk, donk, donk sound every time someone chats, and sometimes I think that can be kind of distracting, or if people are watching the videos back, it kind of sounds disruptive to me. So I do uncheck the audio for someone who's posting the chat message, just so I can see the visual, but I'm not going to get the noise. So that's just, I think, a personal preference for that. If you are looking at the participant list, like Erin has, these are Erin's slides that she put in here, you can promote people to be moderators in your session. So if you're looking at, if you click on the 2 purple people, you should get a list of all the participants. And right now it says I'm the moderator and you guys are all participants. But you can click on the attendee controls. So if you have someone who joins your guest link, maybe a guest speaker, and you give them the guest link and they come in, you can click on those attendee controls and promote them. And you also have the ability to mute people if they accidentally left their microphone on. You do have those controls as a moderator. All right, any questions? Ever had a guest? I have not. Has anyone else in the room ever had a guest speaker come and talk for a Collaborate session? Yeah, I haven't either. I think that it could be a great tool to have for our students. You know, you can have someone come in if you're doing a government class, maybe you could have like someone from our local government, a mayor or councilman, anything like that, to come in and kind of talk to your students. If you're talking about business, having a local business person join you and kind of give some credibility to your sessions and a little bit of variety, I think those are some good instances. If you guys have any other ideas about guest speakers that you might like to have, go ahead and throw those in the chat or shout them out on the audio. Some ideas of guest speakers that would be great examples to have in our classes. Feel free to share those. That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to head over to our next slide. So yeah, in the application sharing, which is the little box with the arrow, you can share your screen, you can add your files. You also have the opportunity of sharing a blank whiteboard, which means if you share that whiteboard, you could have the students type on there. And I have done that before. I did a session where I was helping my students write a sonnet together. So we were coming up with rhyming words together. So by sharing the blank whiteboard, the students were able to type up their texts of rhyming words, or coming up with lines of poetry that have, you know, iambic pentameter or 10 syllables, things like that. And that gives the students the opportunity to kind of present as well. So they can, you know, highlight things where they can and kind of draw using their at that. I like having the text available so I can type, but it is an option. How many people can you have sharing audio video at the same time without slowing things down? I don't know if I know the answer to that, Susan. Usually I've only ever seen people kind of speaking one at a time. So I don't know if everyone shares their audio at the same time, if it gives any lag or not. I actually don't know the answer to that. Anybody else had experience with sharing? To check into that, Michelle. You're welcome, Susan. Sorry that wasn't more helpful. Thanks, Michelle. Michelle says bamboo pads are relatively inexpensive and help you draw easily. I'm gonna have to check into that because honestly, I'm terrible. It's like, when you have to sign with your finger for anything, I'm awful. All right, so I'm gonna move on over. After you've going back over to Schoology, clicking into e-tutoring, and then accessing the recordings, you can see right there on the screen that says get URL, and then you can share that out to your students. There might be a little bit of lag time from when you stop your session until you can grab that link. I've also made that mistake before where I recorded something and then went to grab the link right after and thought, oh no, I didn't do it correctly or I didn't record it. And so then I recorded again, and then when I finished that recording, the first recording had showed up. And so I just did it for no reason. So there might be a little bit of lag time between when you stop your session and then when you actually can go back and grab that link. So give yourself a little bit of a grace period before you check for that URL to share out. But once you get that URL, you can post it into an update, send it out to your students in an email or message, and let them know that those archives are available for them to go back and watch if you don't have students who attend and you want to share later. Does anybody else have any questions at this point in time? All right, so this is our point in our session where you guys get to talk and give me a break. So does anyone have any experiences where they've used Blackboard Collaborate for a live session? Can you tell us about your experience? What was good about it? What was bad about it? Did you have any students attend? Let's take some time to share out. Michelle, do you have audio that you can, if you have audio, great, go ahead and share out. If not, you can go ahead and type in the chat.
Can you hear me? Erica?
I can hear you. Hello.
Okay. This is Danielle. I was just going to say years ago I did live sessions, and I did them as study sessions before the final exam, and I had really good student turnout for those. I found other times through the course I struggled to get students to show up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Eric, I actually have had some Idaho live sessions, and probably the most beneficial thing for me is the logistics that I cover at the beginning of the Idaho live session, and then I'm able to archive that and then send out a link to the students so that they can hear it. I also post it as an announcement. So there's a lot of times kids are confused on workout logs when it comes to Lifetime Fitness,
Mhm.
and it's just a great way to communicate with them through that. And there hasn't been very many kids that have logged in to actually watch the session, but after I archive it and send out the link, then it gives kids a little bit better understanding of what's expected in the class. And I usually take about 10 minutes and just cover the basics of the class and some of the expectations. So that's been pretty effective for me. But there hasn't been very many students that have logged in and listened to when I actually have it live.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. And Joe, do you have any students that ever kind of come back and tell you anything about watching the archive?
Actually, I really haven't had that much feedback other than just kids commenting on, hey, was able to figure out the fitness log now and what the expectation is, but never real feedback as far as that goes.
Gotcha. Thanks for sharing, Joe. Michelle said that she had one student and her dad showed up. See, here was trying to raise your hand and log in. Anyway, so watch your microphones because that happens. Danielle said, or Michelle, excuse me, Michelle said she had one student and her dad show up for an open house and that she needs to be careful about time zones. That's absolutely good practice for us to put our time zones after when we're doing our sessions and to be aware of our students are in different time zones. I forget that sometimes. Sherry says, I practiced with some students in a classroom but didn't record it. Wanted to make sure my computer was working correctly, so I had one of the site coordinators help me during one of the high school periods. That's perfect. It's always great to kind of do those practice sessions. It's not letting you do art audio. Sorry, Michelle. No students attended, but several watched. Michelle, how do you know that your students watched it if they didn't attend? Did you get some good feedback from that? I think if it were with adults, I kind of give them more of the go ahead and just jump in and chat, um, whenever use your audio. But with students, I think it's probably good practice just for them to practice the netiquette of raising your hand before you talk or taking turns to speak or be acknowledged. Just if you have a lot going on, where if you have some sort of a debate or something where they're going to be participating a lot with audio, I think it's good practice to help them kind of recognize the netiquette of being in a chat room like this in a live session.
That BSU cohort through
Mm-hmm.
IDLA to get my e-certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a huge project, and there's three of us who's actually doing a website design. And so we use Zoom, but we actually collaborated a week ago, and we were able to pull up each of our websites through Screencastify and walk each other through them and then give each other feedback. And so we recorded that to send to our professor to show that, how we're working and supporting each other. And that's the first time I've ever done that, and I found that to be really powerful. And so now I'm thinking, okay, how can I do this in the classroom for students when they have a project like this?
Absolutely.
So I just want to share that sometimes I think you just got to
as far as like mini lesson or some content, put that together and go ahead and record the session. And that way you can kind of play with the tool, see what's working, see what's not working, and you can go back and watch it just so you can feel comfortable using Blackboard Collaborate, using the application tools, just trying it out, because I think it can be, like Danielle was sharing, a really powerful tool. Take a chance on me. Yeah, very nice, Michelle. Give it a try, though, you guys. Try stuff out. I know that it is scary and it kind of does make you feel a little bit vulnerable, but I think that's also a good opportunity for us to share with our students, even if you do a session live and things aren't going well, to talk to your students about failing forward, having a growth mindset, recognizing that even as professionals, sometimes things don't work out like we thought they were going to work out. So I encourage you guys to try that. You can also, if you want to put a session together, invite me or Erin or any of, I'm sure, you know, the teachers that you've developed a relationship with in your courses to kind of come and check it out, or be participants or guests in your session. So I am wondering, I kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but I think I put it together with too many questions. What are some live sessions that you guys are thinking about doing, or some ideas that you have? Danielle shared out, thank you very much. But other people, what ideas do you have for sharing out? Joe also told us about giving logistics of workout logs, things that he does for students. But what else is everyone else thinking as far as live sessions? How would you use them? What kind of content are you thinking about sharing, etc.? Susan, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Okay, hi.
Hello.
So I have been teaching keyboarding, and I've really been trying to figure out how to um, make that exciting, so to speak, because it's such a skill that they just have to practice. But the place that the kids have had trouble is at the very beginning in learning techniques. And so I think there's an opportunity to engage there.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan to, actually, I'll do it now as far as hosting um, with Screencastify so that they can actually see how to take a screenshot of a certificate, as well as the requirement is for them to have test results also. And they're just somehow not connecting all of that. So I think a little bit of extra help there could be helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, thanks.
A PC or they're using a Mac, in different formats. So, yeah,
Okay, thanks.
thank you. Thanks for sharing. Danielle, go ahead.
As we're going to do an assignment for this class, doing a live session, I'm going to do a midterm check-in and do kind of tips and tricks, talk about what they've been successful at, talk about where they can improve, and then just give them a chance to give feedback. And then they have a project coming up, so then I'm going to use the second part of the session to kind of set them up for the second part of the class, so they can kind of know where we're headed and the expectations. So I think what I would do from now on is use this and just check on them and have them give them the chance to ask questions and give them ideas of what is being successful and what we can do better. I think that would really help alleviate some concerns.
I agree. That's a great idea, Danielle. And I think that anytime we can give our students a little bit of tutoring, a little bit of mini lessons to help our students kind of recognize here we are as a teacher. Sometimes I feel like they think they're online and they're by themselves, but tips and tricks is a great way, and it's a great way also to communicate with them. Hey, this is what you guys are doing great. Here's what we can improve upon. Wonderful idea. Michelle says she teaches speech, so I think I'm going to present a persuasive speech for the students. freak me out, even though I present speeches to my face-to-face kids all the time. It's true, Michelle, and that's a great idea to kind of model for your students what you're looking for and how to present something. There's something certainly to be said for presenting to a blank room. If your students don't come, what I really miss when I'm in a collaborate room like this is the nonverbal feedback that you get from people who are listening. As you guys are talking, you can't see me, but I'm nodding my head and I'm, oh yeah, great. You don't get that when you're in a collaborate room. So I miss that. And sometimes it's hard to remember that you're speaking. It feels like you're speaking to no one, but there's either people on the other side or they will be listening to that. Michelle Carlson says you can also post on YouTube to make it more easily accessible for kids on mobile devices and or Chromebooks. Oh, can you tell us more about that, Michelle? Perfect. So extra lectures, screencasts, walkthrough tutorials, you put those on YouTube, Michelle, and then that makes it easier for the students to view those. That's great. Perfect. And absolutely, we're all for lecture. Awesome. Is there any other questions that you guys have or any other live sessions that you're thinking about conducting? Anything that's going well for you right now in your courses? We can kind of open this up to a little bit more of anything on your mind. Teaching with Schoology. Michelle, I'm not sure about taking teaching with Schoology. That's one I would probably ask your mentor teacher about. Well, actually, I can ask. I'll ask for you because I can ask the people. Since you've taken, well, I don't know. Did you take, oh, who did you, oh, your mentor teacher. Really going to be much of a need for it. So Michelle, I will double check with Sharon Rivera and I'll get back to you on that and let you know. You betcha. I'm going to All right, so I'm going to kind of move on to the final part of our presentation. If you guys have anything else that comes up as far as questions or anything that you want to share out, please feel free to do that as we're closing up. Um, you that you've gotten some good ideas from each other about how to navigate in Schoology and what kinds of tips and tricks you can do with Schoology. So, oh, I'm so glad, Sherry. Well, everything's fresh in your mind as far as the session. If you're going to reflect on a session, if you guys have completed a session already, feel free to use that. Like if you did an open house or something, feel free to drop that link into that recording if you have it. Or, like I said, do a practice session and reflect on those. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Please have all your course Daniel asked, so do we have to do a live session and send you a recording before next Wednesday? Before the 24th, yes, please. It doesn't need to be a long session. And like I said, if you've done something previously and you have the recording, you can just reflect on that. If not, it can honestly just be one of those, hey, this is me trying out the tool, kind of playing with the things, the applications, and reflecting on how that goes. It would be a good opportunity to practice maybe for some.
Thank you, because I have administrators training in Boise on Monday and Tuesday, so I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes, absolutely. It absolutely can be just a practice session. It doesn't have to be something that you share out with your students. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end. You guys are almost done with Intermediate Schoology. Appreciate all of you participating. Again, please don't hesitate to ever reach out if you have questions, and I mean that. If you guys have things that are coming up, email me, text me, call me, reach out through me through the messaging in Schoology, and Erin is the same. So we're happy to work with you guys. Any last questions before we sign off? Comments?